Alrighty, this is going to be take 2, because I've already recorded this, but I have to re-record it. Things happen. Hey guys, FunnyGuyTimmy here. Do you like what I've done with my hair? I actually bleached it a little bit. When I was a kid, my hair was actually blonde, or like really close to being blonde. It was very, very light, lighter than this. And then I was about 20, I actually dyed it, or not dyed it, bleached it to about this color. And I had my hair the same length and the same style for like 6 months. So I was like, I want to do something different. And I remember why I didn't like bleaching it. Is because I have very sensitive skin, and so around like my ears and the back of the neck, it's just really irritated from the treating it. But either way, that's going away. It's fine. I wanted to talk to you guys about USB mics. Now, not too long ago, I was having some trouble with my Zoom H6 interface, where if I tried to play something while I was recording, like if I pulled up an audio file or a different recording, or played a YouTube video, or just played a sound clip while I had Audacity up, or Audacity recording, it would do this distortion thing. And I've tried all kinds of other things and narrowed it down to the fact that it is the interface itself. For some reason it can't multitask. I don't know if it's just not getting enough power or what. I've tried changing cables. I've tried updating the drivers. I've tried, attaching the microphone to one of these bad boys, something like this, to where I can provide power to the microphone without the interface having to do it. So, just in case it was a power issue, that's not working either. So it's just the interface. Not that it doesn't work. It's still the one that I use for my voiceover. I just have to make sure I'm not playing or running anything else, and then I just record. That's it. And then when I'm done recording, then I can do other things. But if it's going to distort the audio. So anyway, but with that fear that it was going to give up on me, and not sure if I wanted to buy a new interface, or, and if I did, what kind of interface, I went out and got a USB mic. Now, I used to own a USB mic in the past. It's actually the one that I started with, and it was the MXL, MXL 006. It's like 0.006 USB, something like that. Link will be in the description. Sorry. And that was a microphone that I started out with, and I started my work on Fiverr, and my first paid voiceover gigs on voices.com and Voice123, I used that mic. It's the mic that I started with. However, listening back to it, I can tell that, number one, I didn't know how to use a microphone. Number two, I had the microphone way too close to the computer fan, and so I was just getting a whole bunch of noise. And number three, not a great mic. When we first got it, it was like $100, and then nowadays I think you can find it anywhere between $40 and $60. The couple things that I didn't like about it. Let's talk about why I don't like that USB mic and why I normally stay away from USB mics. Number one, no live monitoring. Which the microphone that I'm using right now does, and I'll get to that in a second. I think you need live monitoring. There's some voice actors that say, don't listen to yourself, just talking to the mic, and then only put the headphones on when you're editing. And that's what I was doing when I had that microphone, because there's no real way of doing live monitoring. I mean, there was, technically, but you can go into your computer settings and go to the microphone and go to listen to this device or whatever, and it'll give you kind of a live monitoring, but there's like a half a second to a second delay. It's like a latency. And so it can really throw you off if you're listening to yourself. So I don't do that. So that was one thing. And for me, I need the live monitoring, because if there's any noise in the background, if I puff air into the microphone, or if there's mouth noise that I can't really tell unless I'm listening to it the way the microphone's hearing it, I like to do that. So that way I can stop and then do another take without having to do a whole new file. Anyway, so that's why I like live monitoring. Number 2 is that particular microphone had a switch on the back, and it was kind of a volume switch, but it didn't really work as well as I think they had planned. It had a low, medium, and a high switch, so it would change the volume in like 3 increments. None of them were really good. I just left it right on mid. Low, you can't hear it at all. High, everything distorts. Mid was the only one that worked. Tried all kinds of stuff, so I hated that switch. And then finally, the fact that the cord was really short. Most USB microphones, like this one right here, have really, really short USB cords. Normally about 4 feet in length, and so that means that your computer has to be really close. Now, the situation I'm working with is I have a little USB hub right here that has a really long USB 3 cable that plugs into the computer right over here, a good distance away from the microphone. And then it's also plugged into an outlet, so it's getting power through that and not through the computer. And so I can plug, 12 USB cables or USB devices into this while at the same time staying away from my computer and not hearing any of that noise. It took a while for me to learn that I can do that. So unless you have a really quiet computer, USB microphones, not all that good. However, nowadays now when I started voiceover, there was just every computer had a fan and every computer was loud. Nowadays, that's not the case. I mean, there's things like notebooks or solid state drives. It's like solid state or flash drive computers that have like no moving parts that are really quiet. Now, they don't have a lot of processing power or a lot of RAM or a lot of storage space, but for the most part, doing voiceover, you don't need a lot. You just need USB ports, and you just need a keyboard, a screen, a place to plug in, a mouse, and, use Audacity. That's it. That's really all you need. So using a USB mic with a notebook is probably a better bet. Anyway, moving forward. Now you can also get longer USB cables, but listen to me. I suggest not doing that. And this is from my experience, is that the longer the cable, the more noise you're going to get. And I've heard this from other voice actors as well, talking about USB mics and longer cables, and that it starts to distort the audio, and you will start getting noise. Now, this may vary on brands. If you get a really high-end brand or really expensive cable, it might work better. But I don't like that. Considering USB mics already have a lot of self-noise. Almost every single one of them that I've ever used, it has guaranteed self-noise. Even the Blue Yeti. For those of you who praise the Blue Yeti, it even that has self-noise. I'm sorry. Okay, now the microphone that I'm using right now, again, I got this because in the fear that my Zoom H6 was going to give out on me. So I got this microphone from Best Buy. I got it for like $100. It's normally closer to like $60-$70, and it is the Samson C01U Pro microphone. Is that what it is? Let me look this up. Yeah, Samson C01U Pro microphone. Now, I get a lot of people message me either through Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, email that ask me all kinds of things like, how do I get into voiceover? And what I've done is, over the years, I've just put together a free PDF. It's at the bottom of my voiceover website. And what I'll do is I'll send them a link to my website and say, hey, go all the way down to the bottom. There's a PDF. Just download that. and that has like quick tips that I have for getting started. And one of the microphones, I think the microphone that I have in there right now, is this microphone right here, because it has a port for headphones. It's right there, and it's a trusted brand. It's relatively inexpensive, and it's USB mic. So, if you were to try to get started, this is a pretty good mic to get started. Now, I've done some tinkering with this, some practicing with this mic, seeing, because it does have some noise, some self noise, and I was seeing how much cleaning would I have to do to the audio if for any reason something happened to this or any of my other interfaces or other mics, and this was the only one that I had to use. What do I have to do in order to make it sound better, or make it sound pretty much at par with all my other microphones? And surprisingly, not that much. I had to do a little bit more EQing and noise cleanup. Noise mostly just because of the noise that it generates, and EQing because I think it's relatively flat. And personally, my voice, I like having more clarity, and a little bit brighter. I like a little bit brighter of a sound, not too bright, not so harsh and sharp and sibilant, but I don't have a lot of bass, and my voice is just higher pitch and very friendly, and so I try to pick a tone that goes with that. And so it's normally going to be a little bit of a spike on the higher frequency, but it does have a high, like the really high frequencies, I just kind of cut that off a lot because I don't want it to be too sibilant, but at the same time, where my natural voice lies, I give it a little bit of a boost. That was probably a lot of information, didn't make any sense. Sorry. But anyway, so, and yeah, that's actually something that I do with all my mics. Anytime I get a mic, I play around with it and I do some trial and error to see what would I have to do to get this mic to work at the best quality, to basically be competitive in the market and to sound basically on par with, like, if any client from the past came to me, any client that I had worked with my shotgun mic, any client that wanted, hey, I need you to, do you think you could do another video, matching this one, or pick up some lines, or we want to change a few things, what would I have to do to a less expensive mic to make it sound more like a more expensive mic? $1,000, $70. So, I do that a lot with my microphones. I see, what do I have to do to get it to match all the others? So I was doing that, and it's not that much. So, it's a really rugged mic. It's a heavy, heavy mic. I'm not afraid of breaking this thing, like, ever. So yeah, it's an interface. It has, live monitoring. Sounds relatively good. Relatively short cable. It's like 4 feet, but, with a hub, you're fine, or a notebook. It won't work with your iPad. I tried. I have a little adapter where I can plug things USB into my iPad, and I do that with my my Zoom H6. But the reason that it works with the Zoom H6 is because the Zoom H6 has batteries and can power itself, and then it's just sending signal to the iPad. So it won't work with this one. So anyway, I used to say don't use USB mics, but there are some USB mics that you can use under certain circumstances. I think for the most part, it comes down to environment, editing, and just practice. Like, how do you, like, your practice and your experience with that microphone and you getting better at it, as well as like a treated room and, the whatever's making noise far away. You can basically make any microphone sound good. I've heard all kinds of audio where people with really expensive with like Neumann's, like insane, like a 87, just incredibly expensive microphones in like a space that is not treated at all, and I can hear the computer, and them just bragging about their microphone. It's not about the microphone. It is not about the microphone. It's about how you use it and your preparation. So yeah, I used to say don't use USBs, and there's a lot of voice actors that say don't use USBs. But as time has gone on and as technology has gotten better, USB microphones have gotten better. They're getting closer to being able to pit pound for pound, blow for blow with XLRs. And if you had to choose one, this is not a bad microphone to go for. So links to this microphone as well as my first microphone will be in the description. If you guys have any questions, don't forget to ask them. Rate, comment, subscribe, share if you like the video. Hit the notification button. And until next time, peace!